Title: The Life I Never Lived. My name is Eleanor Reed. I'm 29 years old. And this is the story of the most harrowing, mind-bending week of my life. A week that made me question everything I thought I knew about reality, memory, and myself. It began on a Monday, or at least I think it was Monday. When I opened my eyes, sunlight filtered through linen curtains. The room smelled faintly of lavender and old books. At first, I felt an eerie calm. The bed was warm, the sheets crisp and clean. But the moment I sat up, something twisted inside me. This wasn't my flat. Not even close. The room was elegant, vintage, lived in. Walls covered in photographs, art prints, and shelves of hardbound books. On the dresser lay an open passport. My name. My face. But the stamps were all wrong. Thailand. Peru. Australia. And the dates. The dates claimed I'd been traveling for the last decade. I hadn't. I'd been in London, working at the same publishing house for the last 9 years. I was a creature of routine, barely traveled outside of Cornwall. Panicking, I bolted from the room. The house was enormous. Rustic wooden floors. Oil paintings of landscapes I didn't recognize. A kitchen with unfamiliar spices. A living room with a dog bed and a dog I didn't know, wagging its tail at me like we were old friends. Then came the photos. Hundreds of them, tacked up on walls, in frames on tables. Me with people I didn't know. Laughing in a market in Marrakesh. Holding hands with a man on a beach at sunset. Dancing at what looked like a wedding, in a white dress. My hands trembled as I picked up a framed photo. Me and a little girl with copper curls, maybe 6 years old. The back was dated. Ellie and Rose, October 2022. Who was Rose? And who was I? I wandered through the house like a ghost. Every room held more questions. Yoga mats in the attic. Camping gear in the garage. A piano in the study, with sheet music that had my handwriting scribbled across the top. There were books with my name on the cover. Memoirs. A novel. Travel guides. The author bio on the dust jacket showed my face, said I lived in the Lake District with my husband Jamie and daughter Rose. Jamie? My first thought was that I'd had a breakdown. Some elaborate hallucination. I found a phone in the kitchen drawer. Locked. I tried guessing the passcode with old birthdays. Nothing worked. I opened drawers, looked through cabinets. Mail addressed to Eleanor Reed. Utility bills. A child's school report. All of it pointed to a life I had no memory of living. I stared into the bathroom mirror, hoping for answers. I looked the same. Shoulder-length blonde hair. Faint scar above my left eyebrow. Same green eyes. But older? Subtly different? I wasn't sure. A man arrived that evening. Tall, tan and familiar, but not. He walked in with a casual Ellie, as if everything were normal. I stood at the foot of the staircase, fists clenched. Who are you? He frowned. It's me, Jamie. Your husband. Are you all right? I've never seen you in my life. His expression faltered. Okay. Right. I'm going to call Dr. Sharma. You're not calling anyone until you explain what's going on. We sat. He offered tea. I refused. He looked devastated. You've had these episodes before, he said gently. Memory lapses. They started after the accident. What accident? 2015. A car crash. You lost a lot. The trauma triggered something called dissociative amnesia. We've been managing it for years. No. I was living in London. I worked at a publishing house. He showed me photos, videos, letters I'd written to myself, birthday cards from Rose, a diary with entries in my handwriting. I know it's overwhelming, he said, but I promise, this is your life now. The next day, I walked into the village, trying to place myself. Locals greeted me by name. A woman in a florist's stall hugged me and asked about Rose's swimming lessons. An old man handed me a basket of apples and said, "Tell Jamie his stew was lovely." None of them reacted strangely. No one questioned who I was. Back at the house, I found a folder tucked beneath the floorboards of the study. Medical records, notebooks, lab results. One caught my eye, Project Odyssey, Subject 13. I read with growing horror. Subject 13 accepted memory alteration voluntarily. Trigger scenario program to reintroduce suppressed guilt. Simulation integrity at 98%. Subject exhibiting signs of emotional reintegration. That night, I snuck out, back to the strange cottage I'd seen down the lane. Its windows were dark, but the door creaked open easily. Inside was a desk, a monitor, a keypad. When I touched it, the screen flickered to life. A log appeared. Subject 13 Eleanor Reed. Phase 4. Memory breach detected. Closure imminent. I clicked on a file marked Final Review. A man in a white lab coat appeared. This is Dr. Kavanaugh. August 1st, 2025. Subject 13 has begun to reject the implanted identity. We anticipated this. Her trauma is surfacing, but integration has been largely successful. We believe this will be our final test. The subject must now choose guilt or growth. I returned home in a daze. Jamie was waiting. He said nothing as I showed him the log. He nodded slowly. You weren't supposed to find it yet. But maybe it's time. He took me to the attic, lifted a false wall panel. Behind it a screen, cameras, a stack of hard drives. They monitored everything. Yes, you consented to it. I watched footage of myself being interviewed by a panel. A woman me said, I can't live with what I did, but I don't want to die either. If there's a way to rebuild, to heal, I'll take it. The truth was this. 10 years ago, I hit a child with my car. I panicked. I left the scene. It destroyed me. When the program reached out, I accepted their terms. A new life. A fabricated world. Carefully constructed to push me toward empathy, motherhood, love. Jamie wasn't my husband. He was a behavioral scientist. Rose was part of the simulation. Anai, a construct. But she felt real. God, she was real. I had a choice. Return to the world and face the consequences of the real world, or stay here. Stay in the lie. Others failed, Jamie said. They broke down. Tried to wake up. You didn't. You thrived. You became someone new. Someone better. What happens if I choose to stay? I asked. You forget again. We reset the clock. One final time. And if I choose to leave? You remember everything. The crime. The trial. The prison time. But also, the chance to make amends. I chose the third option. One they hadn't planned for. I want the truth, I said. But I want Rose too. Jamie blinked. That's not how it works. It has to be. I want to live with what I've done. But I won't erase her. Even if she's not real. She's part of who I am now. It took months, but eventually they agreed. The program was decommissioned. Jamie left. His real name was Malcolm. He sent a letter. You were always the strongest one. They gave me access to a replica of Rose. A neural recreation. I named her again. I raised her again. This time in a real town, in a real house. I turned myself in. I served a reduced sentence. Volunteered in victim outreach programs. Published a memoir. Now I live quietly. I write. I parent. I pay my debts, one day at a time. Rose knows the truth. Or the part she's ready to hear. Sometimes I still question what's real. But mostly I just live. Because maybe redemption isn't about forgetting what we've done. Maybe it's about choosing who we become after. The end. Title: The Life I Never Lived. Original story unchanged. Continuation. Chapter 2. Aftermath. It's been a year since the program was dismantled. The quiet of reality still startles me sometimes. No hidden cameras, no performance metrics, no synthetic voices monitoring my growth. Just morning coffee, school runs, rain tapping on the windows of our modest cottage in Yorkshire. Rose, my Rose, is thriving. She attends a real school now, reads obsessively, asks difficult questions. Her AI construct was legally integrated with neural autonomy, meaning she's learning independently now. Sometimes she even surprises me. And sometimes she remembers things she was never meant to. Last month she said, "Mummy, do you think memories can be planted like seeds?" I froze. Why do you ask? Because I sometimes see places I've never been. But I feel like I have been there. Like someone put the pictures in my head. I didn't know how to answer her. Maybe I still don't. I've started receiving letters. The first arrived 2 weeks ago. No return address. Just a single sheet of paper. Typed. "You weren't the only subject. We need to talk." 14-inch. At first I thought it was a mistake. Or some sick joke. But the next day, a second letter arrived. "Do you remember Gwen? Subject 11. She didn't make it out. They're hiding what happened. They'll come for you next." The memories stirred. In fragments. In dreams. Eva. A girl I once met in a memory loop. We'd shared tea in a simulated mountain village. She had spoken of loss. Of something she couldn't quite remember. We were both test subjects, though we didn't know it then. That night, I dug out my hidden box. Old program files, printouts from Project Odyssey. Names. ID numbers. There it was, Subject 11 Gwen Eva. Terminated during Phase 3. Emotional rejection. Terminated. I thought the program was shut down. But now I'm not sure. A week later, I received a visitor. A woman in her 60s. American. Stern face, clear eyes. She called herself Dr. Dana Holloway. "Can I come in?" she asked calmly. "I used to work on Odyssey. And I think your life's still in danger." I let her in. Over tea, she told me everything. That not all researchers had agreed with the ethics of the experiment. That when the government threatened to pull funding, some factions took the research private. Underground. There are others still inside, she said. Living simulations. Some have been under for over 20 years. And now they're being used for things far worse than therapy. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? Because you were the only successful full cycle subject. and they see you as a threat. That night, I told Rose we might have to leave. Why? She asked. Because some people want to hurt me for telling the truth. She tilted her head. Then tell more truth. Loud enough that they can't shut you up. She's 6. And she's already braver than I am. I went public the next week. A televised interview. My real name. My story. The simulations. The consent. The lies. Some believed me. Many didn't. But it was out. 2 days later, my house was broken into. Files stolen. Footage deleted. Rose and I fled. We now live under new names in a small coastal town in Ireland. And still the letters come. You're not done, Eleanor. They won't let you go. But you're not alone anymore. We're waking up. One by one. 09-inch. Sometimes I wonder if I should regret waking up. But then Rose laughs. Or takes my hand. Or draws a picture of our house and writes home in bold letters. And I remember. I lived a lie for 10 years. Now, I get to fight for the truth. And I will. Title: The Life I Never Lived. Previous content remains unchanged. Chapter 3. The Glass Room. We didn't stay hidden long. 2 months into our new life in Ireland, Rose started asking about the dreams again. This time, she described a white room, floor-to-ceiling glass, with rows of children playing silently. No sound. Just motion. I was in there once, she said softly. Before you found me. I tried not to flinch. What else do you remember? There were wires. I think they taught us how to cry. That night, I wrote down everything she said. Word for word. Then I called Dana Holloway. They activated early constructs in a development wing called the Glass Room, she told me. I thought it was shut down. But if she remembers it, they're still experimenting. I asked how to find it. She gave me a name, Portstone, a remote facility in northern Scotland, disguised as a weather research station, rumored to house dormant segments of Project Odyssey. No one had breached it. Not yet. I had a choice to make. Run again. Or go back in. I arranged for Rose to stay with Dana in a safe house near Dublin. She protested, cried, begged to come. But I couldn't risk her. Before I left, she gave me a drawing. It was of me, standing in front of a giant glass wall, holding her hand. You'll find the others, she said, even if they're not ready. I drove north under cover of night. 3 days. Fog, rain, wind. By the time I reached the cliffs overlooking Portstone, I was exhausted, but I couldn't turn back. I watched the facility for 48 hours. Patterns. Shifts. security routines. Then under the cloak of dawn I broke in. Portstone was a tomb. Silent corridors. Gray walls. Flickering lights. I moved like a shadow, breath held. Every sound a threat. Then I found the glass room. It was just as Rose described. A massive hall, sterile and humming. Behind the glass were rows of beds, each with a child, or something like one, lying still, connected by thin wires to a central glowing console. Constructs. Test subjects. Living memories built on artificial spines. But one bed was empty. The plaque beneath read, Subject 05 Rose. She had escaped, just like I did. Suddenly, a voice behind me. You're not supposed to be here, Eleanor. I turned. A man in a dark suit, mid-40s, eyes cold as ice. Who are you? I asked. He smiled faintly. Call me Director Voss. I helped build this place. And you, well, you're our greatest disappointment. I clenched my fists. You built prisons. Not healing. No. We built order. You should go. You let guilt drive you. Others could have lived peacefully forever. But you pulled the thread. I woke up. You think you did. He stepped closer. Tell me, Eleanor. If you destroy this place, if you tell the world, what happens to the minds still inside? The ones too fragile to face the truth. I stared at the children, at the lives paused behind glass. You're playing God. He tilted his head. And you're playing hero. But sometimes those roles aren't so different. I raised the small EMP device Dana had given me. Then let's see how gods handle darkness. I activated it. The lights blew out. Sirens wailed. Systems collapsed. I ran as chaos bloomed behind me. The glass room was no more. But so were the artificial minds inside it. I cried for them. For what they'd never become. For the second chances never given. But Rose? She was free. And I had cracked the machine. Back in Dublin, Rose waited on the front step. When she saw me, she whispered, I saw the lights go out. You dreamed it. No, she said. I felt it. Like part of me went quiet. But it's okay now. I hugged her. Somewhere more like her would stir. Begin to question. To remember. To live. We weren't done. Not yet. To be continued.